The great hall of the Galactic Council stretched for miles in every direction. Thousands of seats filled the massive chamber, each one designed for a different alien species. Some seats floated in the air for gas-based life forms. Others were filled with water for aquatic beings. The variety was endless, but today only the most important members were present. Ambassador Zekthor stood at the center podium, his forearms spread wide as he addressed the council. His reptilian features gleamed under the bright lights. The Hegemony Coalition had sent their best speaker today, and Zekthor knew how to work a crowd. Fellow council members, he began, his voice carrying across the vast chamber through translation devices. Today I bring before you an opportunity that will secure our future for generations to come. High above in the observer galleries, representatives from hundreds of worlds watched in silence. This was supposed to be a routine session, but word had spread that something big was coming. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a blade. Zekthor activated the holographic display behind him. A small blue and green planet appeared, slowly rotating in the light. Earth, the human homeworld. This world, he continued, sits at the crossroads of 3 major trade routes. Its system contains rare minerals worth more than the entire yearly budget of most council worlds. And yet it remains in the hands of primitives. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Some species nodded in agreement. Others shifted uncomfortably in their seats. The humans have been part of galactic society for barely 200 years, Zekthor said, his voice growing stronger. They have no ancient wisdom, no advanced technology, no powerful fleets. They are children playing with toys they do not understand. Representative Valnara of the Crystalline Dominion spoke up from her position near the front. Her crystal body chimed like bells as she moved. What exactly are you suggesting, Ambassador? Zekthor smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. A coordinated strike. 6 fleets, 300 ships total. We remove the human presence from Earth and divide the system's resources among the coalition members. Clean, simple, profitable. The chamber erupted in voices. Some species cheered the bold proposal. Others argued against it. But 3 members sat in complete silence, their faces grave with concern. Elder Korath of the Sikaran Republic was the oldest being in the chamber. His ancient, weathered features had seen more wars than any other council member. Next to him sat Warmaster Thane of the Ursoid clans, a massive bear-like creature whose scars told stories of countless battles. On the other side, High Diplomat Isara of the Ethereal Collective floated silently, her energy form flickering with what others might mistake for anger. The humans are weak, continued Speaker Mortan of the Velnari Empire. Their ships are outdated. Their weapons are simple kinetic projectiles. We have energy shields that can stop anything they might throw at us. Their military is tiny, added General Krek of the Insectoid Swarms. Intelligence reports show they have fewer than 50 capital ships in their entire defense fleet. We would outnumber them 6 to 1. Zekthor nodded approvingly. Exactly. This is not a war. This is pest control. Elder Korath finally stood, his movement causing the chamber to fall silent. When the oldest member of the council spoke, everyone listened. Has anyone here actually fought humans? He asked quietly. The question hung in the air like a challenge. Several members looked around nervously. I thought not, Korath continued. Warmaster Thane, High Diplomat Isara, and myself are the only beings in this chamber who have direct experience with human military forces. And I can tell you that everything you think you know about them is wrong. Zekthor's smile never wavered. With respect, Elder Korath, your encounter with the humans was decades ago. A minor border dispute, nothing more. Times have changed, have they? Korath asked. His old eyes seemed to look right through the ambassador. Tell me, Zekthor, what do you know about human psychology? They are emotional, unpredictable. These are weaknesses we can exploit. Warmaster Thane let out a low growl that made several nearby species step back. Emotional, yes. Weak? No. High Diplomat Isara's energy form pulsed brighter. You speak of pest control, Ambassador. But what happens when the pests fight back? Zekthor waved dismissively. What can they do? Their technology is primitive. Their numbers are small. They have no allies among the major powers. They have something else, Korath said quietly. Something you cannot understand by reading intelligence reports or studying their technology. And what is that? Speaker Mortan asked mockingly. Korath was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice carried the weight of terrible memory. Desperation. The chamber fell silent again. The old Sakaran's words seemed to echo in the vast space. When a human is cornered, Korath continued, when they have nothing left to lose, they become something else entirely. They stop fighting to win. They start fighting to make sure their enemy loses too. Zekthor shook his head. You speak in riddles, Elder. We are talking about a simple military operation. Superior numbers, superior technology, superior tactics. The outcome is certain. Is it? Isara asked. Have you considered what happens if you are wrong? What happens if the humans do not simply surrender when they see your fleets? Then they die, General Krek said simply. Along with their world, the three veterans exchanged glances. They had tried to warn the council, but pride and greed were stronger than wisdom. Council leader Zentara called for order as the debate continued. Representatives argued about resource allocation, fleet positioning, and profit sharing. They spoke of the humans as if they were already defeated. Finally, Zentara called for a preliminary vote. All in favor of authorizing Operation Cleansing Dawn? Hands, claws, tentacles, and energy forms rose throughout the chamber. The count was overwhelming, 12 in favor. All opposed? Only 3 beings voted against the motion. Elder Korath, War Master Thane, and High Diplomat Isara sat like stones in a river of enthusiasm. The motion passes preliminary approval, Zentara announced. Final voting will take place next cycle. All participating fleets will begin preparation immediately. As the chamber began to empty, species representatives chatting excitedly about their coming victory, the 3 veterans remained in their seats. We should warn them, Thane rumbled quietly. Warn who? Isara asked. The council will not listen, and if we warn the humans, we would be traitors to our own species, Korath finished. I know. They sat in silence as the great chamber emptied around them. Finally, Korath spoke again. I keep thinking about something a human commander told me during our conflict. He said that humans have a phrase. You can always tell who the dangerous ones are. They are the ones who smile when you threaten them. What did he mean? Thane asked. Korath stood slowly, his ancient joints creaking. I think we are about to find out. The 3 veterans left the chamber together, each lost in their own dark thoughts. Above them, the lights dimmed automatically as the session ended. Soon the great hall was empty except for the cleaning crews. None of them noticed the small maintenance drone that had been recording everything from the shadows. By morning, the complete session records would be in the hands of human intelligence networks throughout the galaxy. The wheels of war had been set in motion, but the humans would not be caught sleeping. Elder Korath could not sleep. The old Sikaran sat in his private chambers aboard the council station, staring out at the stars. Tomorrow would bring the final vote on Operation Cleansing Dawn, and he knew exactly how it would go. The Warhawks had the numbers they needed. A soft chime indicated someone was at his door. Korath was not surprised to see War Master Thane and High Diplomat Isara waiting outside. The 3 of them had been friends for centuries, bonded by shared experiences that the younger council members could never understand. We cannot let this happen, Isara said without greeting. Her energy form flickered with agitation. Can we stop it? Thane asked. His massive frame filled the doorway. Korath stepped aside to let them enter. Perhaps. If we can make them understand what they are truly facing. How? Thane's voice was a low rumble. They think we are old and scared. They believe their own propaganda about human weakness. Korath moved to his private console and began typing commands. Then we show them the truth. All of it. The next morning, Korath requested an emergency session with the War Coalition leaders. They gathered in Secure Chamber 7, a room designed for the most classified discussions. Present were Ambassador Zekthor, Speaker Mortan, General Krek, and Representative Valnara. Elder, Zekthor said with barely concealed impatience, we appreciate your concerns, but the vote is today. Nothing you can say will change the outcome. Perhaps, Korath replied calmly. But I have something to show you first. He activated the chamber's holographic display system. The room darkened as images began to appear in the air above them. The year was 2387, Korath began. The Sikaran Republic and the human colonies had a border dispute over mining rights in the Kepler system. It seemed simple enough. The humans had 3 small outposts. We had a full battle fleet. The hologram showed space filled with ships. Sleek Sikaran vessels in perfect formation faced a ragged collection of human ships that looked like they had been built in different centuries. Our intelligence said the humans had 22 ships. Old ones, poorly armed. We brought 50 of our finest warships to ensure quick surrender. General Krek leaned forward. What happened? Watch, Korath said quietly. The holographic battle began to play out. The human ships did not retreat as expected. Instead, they charged directly at the Sikaran fleet. The first human ship to die rammed itself into a Sikaran cruiser, both ships exploding in a ball of fire. Accident? Speaker Mortan asked. Keep watching. The second human ship suffered critical damage but did not surrender. Instead, it used its last engine power to ram another Sikaran vessel. Then a third. Then a fourth. They are committing suicide, Valnara whispered. No, Korath corrected. They are making sure we pay for every inch of space we take. The battle continued on the hologram. Every time a human ship was about to die, it found a way to take at least one Sikaran ship with it. When their weapons failed, they rammed. When their engines died, they used emergency thrusters to crash into Sikaran vessels. By the end, Korath said, we had destroyed all 22 human ships, but we lost 31 of our own. A force that should have achieved easy victory was crippled by an enemy that refused to die quietly. Zekthor shook his head. That was 50 years ago. Technology has advanced. Our shields are stronger now. Warmaster Thane stood and activated his own datapad. My turn, he growled. New images appeared in the hologram. These showed ground combat on various worlds. Ursoid mercenaries, massive and heavily armed, fighting alongside human soldiers. Ursoid clans have worked as mercenaries for centuries, Thane explained. We pride ourselves on being the finest warriors in the galaxy. But in the last 30 years, more and more of our clients have specifically requested human support units. The hologram showed a battle scene. Ursoid warriors, each one twice the size of a human, advanced on an enemy position. Next to them, human soldiers looked tiny and fragile. Watch what happens when the Ursoids fall back under heavy fire, Thane said. In the hologram, energy blasts forced the massive Ursoid warriors to take cover. The humans should have retreated too. Instead, they kept advancing even as their comrades fell around them. The humans have a saying, Thane continued. Leave no one behind. They mean it literally. I have watched human soldiers charge into certain death to recover the body of a fallen comrade. Not to save them, just to bring the body home. General Krek's insectoid features showed confusion. That makes no tactical sense. Exactly, Thane rumbled. They do not fight for tactical advantage. They fight for each other. And that makes them far more dangerous than any weapon. The hologram showed more scenes, humans dragging wounded Ursoid warriors to safety, often at the cost of their own lives. Humans sharing their rations with alien allies. Humans refusing medical treatment so that wounded aliens could be treated first. They are insane, Speaker Mortan said. Are they? High Diplomat Isara's energy form pulsed as she took control of the holographic display. Let me show you what we learned about human psychology. New images appeared. These were not battle scenes, but interviews. Human soldiers, pilots, and commanders speaking to ethereal collective researchers. We asked them why they fight, Isara explained. The answers were always the same. They do not fight for glory or conquest. They fight for home. For family. For people they will never meet, but consider part of their tribe. One interview played with audio translation. A young human female missing one arm and covered in scars spoke calmly to the camera. You want to know why we never surrender? It's simple. Every world the enemy takes is someone's home. Every ship they destroy is someone's family. Every life they take is someone's future. So yeah, we fight. We fight until there's nothing left to fight with. Zekthor shifted uncomfortably. These are just words, propaganda, is it? Isara asked. During the Ethereal Hegemony War, human volunteers joined our forces even though they had no stake in the conflict. Do you know what they told us when we asked why? She played another interview. This one showed an older human male, his hair gray with age. My daughter might live in a galaxy where the hegemony wins. I won't let that happen. The room fell silent. Ambassador Zekthor stared at the holographic displays with a troubled expression. You still do not understand. Korath said quietly. When you attack Earth, you will not just be fighting their military. You will be fighting every human who has ever called that world home. Every human who has family there. Every human who believes that home is worth dying for. How many humans are there in the galaxy now? Thane asked. Valnara checked her datapad. Approximately 40 billion, spread across 800 worlds and thousands of ships. And how many of them will come to Earth's defense if it is attacked? The question hung in the air like a death sentence. General Krek broke the silence. You are suggesting that every human in the galaxy would abandon their posts to defend one world? I am not suggesting it, Korath replied. I am stating it as fact. Humans have a concept they call all hands on deck. When their survival is threatened, every human becomes a soldier. Zekthor stood abruptly. This is speculation, fear-mongering. We have superior numbers, superior technology, superior tactics. The outcome is certain, is it? Isara asked. What happens when your superior tactics encounter an enemy that does not follow any tactical doctrine? What happens when your superior technology faces an enemy that turns civilian ships into weapons? What happens when your superior numbers meet an enemy that sees death as acceptable as long as you die too? The war leaders exchanged glances. For the first time, doubt crept into their expressions. The vote is in 3 hours, Zekthor said finally. Even if what you say is true, it is too late to stop this. Korath nodded sadly. I know, we have done what we could. The rest is up to the humans now. As the war leaders filed out of the chamber, each lost in troubled thoughts, the 3 veterans remained behind. Will they listen? Thane asked. No, Korath replied. Pride and greed are powerful forces. But at least we tried. The humans will not surrender, Isara stated with certainty. No, Korath agreed. They will not. And I fear that when this is over, the galaxy will be a very different place. Outside the chamber, the final preparations for Operation Cleansing Dawn continued. But in the shadows, human intelligence agents were already transmitting everything they had learned back to Earth. The warning had been given. Soon it would be answered. The final vote was a formality. Despite the warnings from the 3 veterans, the Galactic Council approved Operation Cleansing Dawn by an overwhelming margin. 14 species committed ships to the attack force. 300 of the most advanced warships in the galaxy began moving toward assembly points on the edge of Council space. Admiral Zekthor stood on the bridge of the Coalition flagship, the massive hegemony dreadnought Inevitable Conquest. Around him, holographic displays showed the positions of every ship in the attack fleet, crystalline vessels that looked like flying jewels, Velnari ships with their distinctive curved hulls, insectoid swarm ships moving in perfect formations. It was the largest military force assembled in over a century. All fleets report ready for jump to hyperspace, his communications officer announced. Zekthor nodded with satisfaction. Begin the operation. Target, Sol system. Human homeworld designated Earth. The first ships began disappearing into hyperspace, their forms stretching and vanishing as they entered faster than light travel. Within minutes, the entire fleet was gone, racing toward human space at speeds that would bring them to Earth in just 3 days. What they did not know was that human eyes had been watching every preparation. Hidden sensors planted by human intelligence agents had tracked every ship movement. Infiltration specialists had accessed classified communications. By the time the attack fleet entered hyperspace, complete details of Operation Cleansing Dawn were already racing toward Earth on quantum communication channels. On Luna, Earth's moon, Admiral Sarah Chen received the final intelligence report in her private office. She was a small woman, barely 5 feet tall, with gray hair and hands scarred from decades of military service. But her eyes held the steady gaze of someone who had seen war and never flinched. 300 ships, she said quietly to herself, reading the report for the 3rd time. They really want us dead. Her aide, Lieutenant Commander Torres, stood at attention nearby. Orders, Admiral? Chen was quiet for a long moment, staring out the window at Earth hanging in the black sky. Billions of people going about their daily lives, unaware that the largest fleet in galactic history was racing toward them with murder in mind. Send a Priority 1 message to all human colonies, all human ships, all human military units everywhere in the galaxy, she said finally. Operation Homecoming is now active. Torres's eyes widened. Operation Homecoming was a theoretical plan that had never been tested. The idea was simple. If Earth was ever threatened with destruction, every human in the galaxy would abandon whatever they were doing and race home to defend it. Ma'am, that includes civilian ships. Cargo haulers, passenger liners, mining vessels, all of them, Chen confirmed. Every human ship that can fly is now part of the defense fleet. And if they refuse, Chen turned from the window, her expression hard as steel. They won't refuse. This is Earth we're talking about. The message went out on all channels, encrypted with codes that only humans would recognize. It was simple and direct. Earth is under threat. Come home. All of you. Now. On New Tokyo, a human cargo ship captain named Martinez was loading rare metals when the message came through. He stared at his communication console for exactly 10 seconds, then turned to his alien crew. Sorry, folks. Change of plans. We're going to Earth. But the contract, his Velnari first officer began. The contract can wait. Earth can't. On Kepler Station, human families received a message during dinner. Parents looked at each other across the table, then began packing. Their alien neighbors watched in confusion as humans throughout the station began preparing for immediate departure. Where are you going? Asked a crystalline friend. Home, replied Sarah Kim, a human engineer. Earth needs us, but you live here now. This is your home. Sarah paused in her packing. You don't understand. Earth isn't just where we come from. It's where we all come from. Every human alive traces their family back to that blue world. When Earth calls, we answer. On the mining ship Prospector's Dream, Captain Jackson received the message while deep in an asteroid field. His crew was mostly human, but they had 3 alien specialists aboard. How long to reach Earth? He asked his navigator. At maximum speed? 2 days, sir? Then we'll be there with time to spare. Jackson turned to the alien crew members. I'm sorry, but I have to ask you to transfer to another ship. We're going into a war zone. The Ursoid engineer, a veteran named Crack, laughed. Captain, my people have worked with humans for decades. We know what happens when someone threatens your home. We're staying. Similar scenes played out across the galaxy. Human ships from every corner of known space began converging on Sol system. But these were not just military vessels. Luxury cruise ships designed for wealthy tourists began installing weapons in their cargo bays. Massive freight haulers started welding armor plating to their hulls. Even small personal shuttles were modified with whatever weapons their owners could find. On Earth itself, the reaction was swift and decisive. President Martinez called an emergency session of the United Terran government. The debate was short. How many ships can we count on? Asked the Secretary of Defense. Admiral Chen consulted her datapad. Every ship in the Terran Defense Fleet, obviously. That's 47 capital ships. But the civilian response has been unprecedented. We're tracking over 2,000 vessels heading for Earth. 2,000? The president looked stunned. From where? Everywhere. Mining ships from the asteroid belt. Colony transports from the outer rim. Even vacation cruisers are coming home. Sir, I've never seen anything like this. It's as if every human in the galaxy decided to come to Earth's defense. The Secretary of Science spoke up. What about weapons? Most of these civilian ships have no military equipment. Chen smiled grimly. They're getting creative. The mining ships are loading their cargo holds with explosive charges. The freight haulers are turning their cargo containers into kinetic projectiles. Even the cruise ships are mounting whatever weapons they can find. Will it be enough? The president asked. I don't know, Chen admitted. But I know this. The aliens think they're attacking one world defended by 47 ships. Instead, they're going to find every human who could possibly make it home standing between them and Earth. As the alien fleet raced through hyperspace toward Sol system, unaware that their surprise attack was no longer a surprise, Admiral Chen stood in the command center of Luna Base watching the most incredible sight of her career. Ships were arriving in Sol system by the hour. Not just Terran Defense Fleet vessels, but every conceivable type of human spacecraft. Ancient cargo haulers that should have been scrapped decades ago flew in formation with state-of-the-art passenger liners. Massive mining ships dwarfed tiny personal shuttles, but they all flew together under the same flag. Admiral, her communications officer called out, we're receiving a transmission from the cargo ship Lucky Strike. Captain wants to know where they should take position for the defense. Chen smiled. The Lucky Strike was a 30-year-old freight hauler that had never mounted so much as a defensive laser. Now its captain was asking where to fight. Tell them to join the outer defense ring, she ordered, and patch me through to all ships. The communication channel opened, connecting her voice to over 2,000 vessels and millions of human souls. This is Admiral Chen, she began. In 18 hours, the largest attack fleet in galactic history will arrive in our system. They come here believing we are weak. They think Earth is defended by a handful of military ships, and that we will surrender when we see their numbers." She paused, looking out at the incredible sight of humanity's impromptu defense fleet. "They are about to learn that when you threaten Earth, you don't just fight our military, you fight all of us. Every human who ever called this system home. Every human who believes that some things are worth dying for." The communication channel filled with voices as thousands of ship captains acknowledged her words. Military vessels, civilian craft, even tiny personal shuttles, all confirming their readiness to fight. "To the alien fleet heading our way," Chen continued, "we have a message. You wanted to see what humans do when cornered? You wanted to test our resolve? You're about to get your answer." She closed the channel and turned to her staff. "All ships to battle stations. This is it." Outside, the stars seemed to hold their breath as humanity prepared for the fight of its life. The alien fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Sol system exactly on schedule. Admiral Zekthor stood on the bridge of the inevitable conquest, expecting to see a small defense force that would quickly surrender when faced with overwhelming odds. Instead, his sensors detected something impossible. "Sir," his tactical officer said, his voice filled with confusion, "I'm reading over 2,000 ships in defensive positions around Earth." "That's impossible," Zekthor replied. Human intelligence said they had fewer than 50 capital ships in their entire fleet. The tactical display lit up with contacts. Ships of every size and shape filled the space around Earth. Some were clearly military vessels, but others looked like civilian craft, cargo ships, passenger liners. Even small personal shuttles were taking positions in the defense formations. "They've called in every ship they have," General Kreck observed from his position nearby. "Civilians, military, everything." Zekthor studied the display with growing unease. "No matter. Numbers alone cannot overcome superior technology. Signal all fleets to advance to attack formation." The 300 ships of the Coalition fleet spread out across space, their weapons charging and shields activating. They moved with perfect military precision, each ship knowing exactly where to go. The human fleet was different. Their formations looked almost random. Military ships mixed with civilian craft. Large vessels protected smaller ones. It looked like chaos compared to the alien fleet's orderly advance. "Open a communication channel to the human fleet," Zekthor ordered. "Let's give them one chance to surrender." The channel opened and Admiral Chen's face appeared on the main screen. She looked small and ordinary compared to the imposing alien commanders, but her eyes held no fear. "Human Admiral," Zekthor began, "you are outnumbered and outgunned. Surrender now and your deaths will be quick." Chen smiled, and somehow that smile was more terrifying than any threat. "You know what's funny about that? You keep talking about our deaths like they're certain, but you haven't considered your own. Our shields are impenetrable. Our weapons are superior. You have no chance of victory." "Victory?" Chen laughed. "Who said anything about victory? We're not here to win, alien. We're here to make sure you lose." The communication channel closed, leaving Zekthor staring at a blank screen. Something cold settled in his stomach, but he pushed the feeling aside. This was just human bravado. "All ships," he commanded, "begin the attack." The battle began as energy beams and missiles crossed the space between the two fleets. The alien ships had superior weapons and stronger shields, just as expected. Their first volley destroyed dozens of human vessels, but something strange happened. As each human ship died, its crew did not simply abandon their vessel and escape. Instead, they used their final moments to cause as much damage as possible. Crippled cargo ships rammed into alien vessels. Damaged fighters made suicide runs on enemy bridges. Even tiny shuttles loaded with explosives threw themselves at alien hulls. "Sir," the tactical officer reported, "the human ship New Horizon has lost all weapons and engines. They're ramming the Velnari cruiser Starpierce." On the main screen, they watched a human passenger liner, its hull cracked and burning, use its last engine power to crash into an alien warship. Both vessels exploded in a ball of fire. "One ship trading for one ship," General Kreck muttered. "Inefficient." But as the battle continued, the pattern repeated. Every time a human ship was about to die, it found a way to take at least one alien vessel with it. Sometimes more. The mining ship Iron Mountain just detonated its entire cargo hold next to 3 of our frigates, another officer reported. All 4 ships destroyed. Zekthor felt that cold feeling in his stomach growing stronger. "What are they carrying in those cargo holds?" "Mining explosives, sir." Enough to crack asteroids. The human miners had turned their tools into weapons. Their massive cargo holds, designed to carry tons of raw materials, were now filled with enough explosives to destroy entire ships. The battle raged for hours. The alien fleet's superior technology allowed them to destroy human ships with ease, but every victory came at a terrible cost. The humans fought with a desperation and creativity that defied all military logic. A group of human cargo ships worked together to surround an alien dreadnought. When the alien ship tried to retreat, it found itself trapped by vessels that seemed to appear from nowhere. The humans had been hiding behind asteroids, using the system's debris field as cover. "How are they coordinating?" General Kreck demanded. "Their communications should be jammed." "They're not using standard military communications," the intelligence officer replied. "They're using civilian channels, entertainment networks, even personal messaging systems. Every human ship is connected to every other human ship." The alien fleet had assumed that destroying the human command ships would break their coordination. But there was no single command structure to break. Every human captain knew what needed to be done and did it without being ordered. Captain Martinez of the cargo ship, Lucky Strike, saw that an alien cruiser was about to destroy a damaged human frigate carrying wounded civilians. He did not wait for orders or ask permission. He simply turned his ship toward the alien vessel and activated every engine he had. The Lucky Strike was not built for combat. It was an old cargo hauler that had spent 30 years moving freight between colonies. But its captain had loaded its cargo holds with mining charges and welded metal plating to its hull. When it struck the alien cruiser, the explosion could be seen from Earth. The alien fleet began to realize they were not fighting a traditional military force. They were fighting an entire species that had decided to turn every available resource into a weapon. Human cruise ships, designed to carry wealthy tourists in luxury, had been converted into mobile weapons platforms. Their elegant ballrooms now housed missile launchers. Their swimming pools had been drained and filled with ammunition. Even the smallest human vessels found ways to contribute. Personal shuttles, barely larger than cars, loaded themselves with explosives and threw themselves at alien fighters. Each one could only destroy a single enemy, but there seemed to be an endless supply of humans willing to make the trade. "Sir," the tactical officer said, his voice shaking, "we've lost over 100 ships." Sekthor stared at the display in disbelief. They had started with 300 of the most advanced warships in the galaxy. Now they were down to fewer than 200 and the humans were still fighting. "How many human ships remain?" "Approximately 800, sir." 800. They had destroyed over 1,200 human vessels, but somehow 800 were still fighting. And these remaining ships seemed to be getting more dangerous, not less. The surviving human ships had learned from the battle. They moved in coordinated groups, using debris from destroyed vessels as cover. They shared weapons and ammunition between ships. When one vessel ran out of missiles, another would dock with it and transfer supplies, even under enemy fire. Admiral Chen's voice cut through the chaos on an open channel that reached both fleets. "To any alien ships that want to withdraw, you are free to leave. This doesn't have to end with all of you dead." Several alien captains looked to their commanders, hope in their eyes, but Sekthor's pride would not allow retreat. "We continue the attack," he commanded. "Concentrate all fire on their largest vessels." The alien fleet focused its remaining firepower on the human capital ships. The massive vessels began to fall under the concentrated assault. But as each one died, something unexpected happened. The crews did not evacuate to safety. Instead, they transferred to other human ships, bringing their experience and expertise with them. When the human battleship, Terra's Pride, was crippled beyond repair, its entire crew moved to nearby vessels, each taking their knowledge of weapons, tactics, and ship systems with them. "They're not losing crew strength," General Kreck realized with horror. "They're concentrating it." The remaining human ships became more dangerous as they absorbed the survivors from destroyed vessels. A simple cargo hauler might suddenly start using military tactics because it now carried former Navy officers. A passenger liner might begin performing complex maneuvers because its new crew included experienced fighter pilots. The battle reached its climax when the inevitable conquest found itself surrounded by 12 crippled human vessels. These ships had no weapons left, no shields, and barely functioning engines. By all logic, they should have been harmless. "Sir," the tactical officer said quietly, All 12 ships are showing massive energy buildups. They're overloading their reactor cores. Zekthor understood with crystal clarity what was about to happen. 12 ships, each containing enough nuclear energy to power a city, were about to detonate simultaneously around his flagship. Emergency jump to hyperspace, he ordered desperately. Hyperspace engines are offline, sir. Damaged in the last attack. All power to shields then. Maximum defensive. The 12 human ships exploded as one, creating a miniature star in the heart of the alien fleet. The inevitable conquest, the most powerful warship ever built, vanished in an instant of nuclear fire. With their flagship destroyed and their fleet reduced to scattered survivors, the remaining alien ships finally began to retreat, but Admiral Chen was not finished with them. All ships, her voice rang out across the human fleet. Pursuit formation. Don't let any 6 months after the Battle of Seoul, the Galactic Council chamber looked very different. Where once 300 species had sent representatives, now barely half that number remained. Empty seats marked the civilizations that had committed their fleets to Operation Cleansing Dawn. Those fleets were now debris floating in Earth's solar system, and their home governments had fallen to internal revolutions or external conquest. The surviving council members sat in stunned silence as the chamber doors opened. They had been waiting for this moment with a mixture of fear and curiosity. The humans were coming to council, but no one knew what they wanted. Admiral Sarah Chen entered the chamber wearing a simple black uniform with no decorations, except for a small pin shaped like Earth. Behind her walked a group of humans, but these were not soldiers. They were engineers, scientists, doctors, and diplomats, people who built things instead of destroying them. The humans took seats in the section that had been reserved for them. Chen stepped up to the central podium where so many speeches of war and conquest had been given over the centuries. Elder Korath, now the senior member of the council after so many others had died in the war, spoke first. Admiral Chen, humanity has earned the right to address this council. The floor is yours. Chen looked around the chamber at the assembled aliens. Many would not meet her eyes. Others stared at her with obvious fear. A few, like Korath himself, watched with something that might have been respect. 6 months ago, she began, representatives of this council voted to destroy my world and kill my people. They believed humans were weak. They thought we would surrender when faced with superior numbers and technology. The chamber was so quiet that the soft hum of life support systems seemed loud. They were wrong, Chen continued. But I did not come here today to gloat about our victory or to threaten revenge. I came here to talk about the future. She activated the holographic display behind her. Instead of battle scenes or weapon specifications, it showed images of reconstruction, human ships working alongside alien vessels to repair damaged stations, human medical teams treating wounded aliens, human engineers sharing technology with former enemies. This is what we have been doing since the battle ended, Chen explained. Not hunting down the survivors of your fleets, not conquering your weakened worlds, not taking revenge for the billions of our people you tried to murder. Representative Valnara of the Crystalline Dominion spoke up hesitantly. What do you want from us? Chen smiled, and for the first time since the humans had entered, some of the tension left the chamber. The same thing we wanted before the war. Trade, cooperation, peace. But we attacked you, said General Krek, one of the few surviving war leaders. We tried to destroy your homeworld. Yes, you did, Chen agreed. And you learned that attacking humans is very expensive. But that war is over. The question now is, what kind of galaxy do we want to build together? She gestured to the holographic display, which now showed technical diagrams and scientific data. During the battle, humans developed new technologies out of necessity, ways to turn civilian ships into weapons, methods for coordinating massive fleets without central command structures, techniques for field repairs and resource sharing. The alien representatives leaned forward with interest despite themselves. We could keep these technologies secret, Chen continued. Use them to build an empire and conquer our enemies. That is what most species in your position would do. But you will not? Elder Korath asked, though his tone suggested he already knew the answer. No, Chen said simply. We will share them freely with anyone who wants to learn. The mining techniques that let us turn cargo ships into weapons. They work just as well for actual mining. The coordination systems we used for our fleet? Perfect for managing trade convoys or exploration missions. She paused and looked directly at the species representatives who had voted for the war. We are offering technology sharing agreements, mutual defense pacts, joint exploration missions, cultural exchange programs, all freely given to anyone who wants to participate. The chamber erupted in surprised voices. Species who had expected conquest were being offered partnership. Speaker Mortan of the Velnari Empire spoke with obvious confusion. Why? We voted to destroy you. We sent our fleets to kill your people. Why would you offer us friendship? Chen was quiet for a moment, choosing her words carefully. Because that is what humans do. We fight like hell when we have to, but we would rather build something better together. She activated a new display showing star charts marked with proposed trade routes and exploration zones. The galaxy is vast, she said. There are thousands of worlds yet to be explored, millions of problems yet to be solved, scientific mysteries that will take centuries to unravel. We can spend that time fighting each other for scraps, or we can work together to build something amazing. War Master Thane stood slowly, his massive frame imposing even in the large chamber. And if we refuse? If some species choose war over cooperation? Chen met his gaze steadily. Then you will face the same thing the last group faced. Every human ship, every human world, every human life dedicated to making sure you lose. We prefer peace, but we are very, very good at war. The threat was delivered in such a calm, matter-of-fact tone that it was somehow more terrifying than any shouted declaration. But we hope that will not be necessary, Chen continued, her voice becoming warm again. Because we have so much to learn from each other. She gestured to her team. Dr. Kim here has been working with ethereal collective scientists on new medical techniques. Engineer Patel has been sharing propulsion theories with Ursoid mechanics. Professor Jackson has been translating human literature for alien readers. The humans stepped forward, each carrying data pads filled with research and proposals. We want to learn your sciences, Chen said. Share our arts. Explore new worlds together. Build trading networks that benefit everyone. Create a galaxy where our children can travel anywhere and find friends instead of enemies. Elder Korath stood and moved to the central floor. The Sakaran Republic formally accepts humanity's proposal for alliance and technology sharing. One by one, other species representatives stood to accept the human offers. Even some of the former war leaders, swallowing their pride, agreed to the partnership terms. Finally, only a few holdouts remained. General Krek looked around the chamber at his isolated position. And if we choose neither war nor peace? He asked. If we simply want to be left alone, then you will be left alone, Chen replied immediately. We will not force friendship on anyone, but the offer remains open if you change your mind. As the session continued, formal agreements were signed. Trade pacts were established. Scientific exchange programs were created. For the first time in galactic history, technology and knowledge began flowing freely between species instead of being hoarded for military advantage. Ambassador Zekthor, one of the few survivors of the attack fleet's command staff, approached Chen as the session ended. His forearms hung at his sides in a gesture of submission. Admiral, he said quietly, I do not understand. We attacked your homeworld. We tried to destroy your species. Why offer us friendship now? Chen studied the reptilian alien for a moment. She had read his file. Zekthor had been one of the primary architects of Operation Cleansing Dawn. His speeches had convinced the Council to approve the attack. By rights, he should be considered a war criminal. Because holding grudges is expensive, she said finally. And because everyone deserves a chance to choose a better path. She held out her hand in the human gesture of greeting. After a moment's hesitation, Zekthor reached out with one of his forearms and shook it. Besides, Chen added with a slight smile, we are going to need all the friends we can get. There are other galaxies out there, and we have no idea what we might find when we start exploring them. The chamber began to empty as representatives returned to their ships to carry news of the new alliance to their home worlds. But a few stayed behind to continue discussions with the human delegation. Elder Karath approached Chen as she gathered her materials. You realize what you have done here? He asked quietly. What do you mean? You have changed everything. For thousands of years, galactic politics has been about conquest and dominance, the strong taking from the weak. But you have shown another way, Chen nodded thoughtfully. Maybe. Or maybe we just got lucky that our way of doing things worked out this time. No, Korath said firmly. It was not luck. You chose cooperation over conquest even when you had the power to take whatever you wanted. That choice will echo through history. As the humans prepared to leave the chamber, Chen looked around one last time at the vast space where so many decisions of war and peace had been made over the centuries. "You know what the funny thing is?" she said to her team. "When this all started, they thought we were the dangerous ones because we fight so hard. But I think the thing that really scares them is that we are willing to stop fighting and try something better." Dr. Kim, the medical officer who had been working with alien scientists, smiled. "Good. Scared friends are still friends. And friends are what we need if we are going to explore what is out there beyond the galactic rim."